G-Roll Electronic Productions, baby.
Welcome. It's your neighborhood psychotherapist. This is my second time live streaming today. I think this is the first time I ever live stream twice in a day, so that's pretty fun. I'm gonna be doing a lot more live streams here, so be checking me out for that. And hit that alarm bell so you know when I'm putting out new stuff, because I can go live any minute. I got a crazy schedule where I work different hours, so I could go live anytime. So hit that alarm bell so you know when I'm going live. That's if it actually works, because I be hearing from people sometimes that it doesn't work when I go live. But we got to work with what we got, right? All right, let's talk about this news. We got a bunch of news to cover. I'm not going to start with that right now. I want to start with this right now, with what's going on in Austin right now. It's very, very interesting. This is from the Daily Mail. Take your A home. Heavily armed black rights groups marched through Austin chanting anti-illegal migration slogans, demanding Biden close the border, and calls for reparations to be paid now. I love that, except for the reparations part. I mean, realistically, that's never going to happen. If you think government is going to send black people reparations, then you got another thing coming. I just was reading today, I think this might be a topic that we're covering, but I read today that they got a spending bill where they're going to be sending $12 billion more to Ukraine. So they will give money to them before they give money to black people. Just to let you know, so don't hold your breath. Reparations is never going to happen. They'd rather send the money for war. So I don't even know why they're even talking about this. Armed activists with the coalition of black self-defense groups marched in Austin, Texas over the weekend, calling for an end to illegal immigration and demanding that President Biden close the borders, which I'm very pessimistic about. We haven't seen it thus far in his administration, so I don't think it's ever going to happen. He's just going to leave the border wide open like he's been doing. Some of the activists chanted "Close the borders" and "Take your A home" as they marched towards the Texas Capitol in the Second Amendment Unity Walk on Saturday. The march was led by Elmer Geronimo, Pratt Pistol and Rifle and Gun Club. Never heard of them. Their demands also included reparations for descendants of enslaved people and a hate crime bill protecting black Americans. Again, that will never happen. They'll do a hate crime bill for Asians. There'll never be one for black. Why do they think this is actually going to happen? Especially if you think the Democratic Party going to do anything to help us. You got another thing coming. But the group faced opposition from a handful of Trump supporters and other protesters gathered at the Texas State Capitol on January 6th to support January 6th defendants. Saturday's march come after Texas Governor Abbott and Arizona Governor Doug Ducey sent thousands of migrants by bus to Washington, D.C., New York City, and Chicago, Illinois, which I covered. All three sanctuary cities that have pledged not to cooperate with federal immigration enforcement. So let's see. We got a video here. I haven't seen any of this before, so let's watch this video here. Open my handy dandy soda here.
Black power! Black power! Black power! Black power!
In this country, who built this country? We are the black Americans that have a lineage that built this country.
I have to say, I love the Second Amendment. I'm glad to see that black people are carrying weapons. I do love that. Even though I don't agree with the whole reparations thing, because again, I don't think that's ever going to happen. I think you're falling on deaf ears when it comes to this reparations stuff.
Off of blood, sweat, and tears in the midst of terror. We want our reparations, damn it!
Now, right now, Yeah. Yeah. Reparations.
Do not dare make the mistake in thinking you will get our vote simply because we believe in exercising our Second Amendment. Yes, I'm talking to you, Ted Cruz and Governor Abbott. Don't think we are standing with you because we are against illegal immigration. We mean business today, and our business.
So my question is, who are you standing with then? When it comes to the Second Amendment, you know, Democrats don't believe in the Second Amendment. Democrats don't believe in immigration, dealing with immigration. So who do you stand with then is my question to you. I wish I could have an interview with this lady just to sit down and talk to her.
Business is tangibles. Reparation is a restorative justice claim, a debt that's owed to our ancestors that built this land with their blood, sweat, and tears.
We all we got. We all we need. We all we got. We all we need. We all we got. We all we need. We all we got. We all we need.
Looks like they got proper
we don't have a problem
technique
with immigration itself, but we do have a problem with illegal immigration because a lot of times jobs are taken away from black people because of illegal immigration.
I agree with that. I do agree with that wholeheartedly.
If you go into subdivisions, brand new build subdivisions, all the employees who work there are Mexicans. There's no black people that work there. I mean, every single employee is a Mexican. You go from subdivision to subdivision and you see the same thing. Factory jobs, illegal immigrants work there. So
I agree with everything he's stating right here.
black people are locked out from employment due to illegal immigration. So we want to stop illegal immigration so black people can make living wages.
I can't agree with that guy anymore. I definitely agree with that. Video and photos of the third annual Second Amendment Unity Walk shows marches armed with guns. I guess that's supposed to be marchers, but armed with guns as they walk through the streets of Austin towards Texas State Capitol. Other than the Elmer Geronimo Pratt Pistol and Rifle Gun Club, that's a long name. Several other groups were involved, including the Black Riders Liberation Party. Reparations Now, the group chanted, according to the Ford Fisher who tweeted from the march. We don't say hands up, don't shoot, one explained. Guns up, they chanted, shoot back. Wow. So they're pulling the whole hands up, don't shoot narrative that turned out to be false. We know that didn't really happen. Close the borders, they were chanting. So you get the gist of that. I do agree with the immigration stuff. I do agree with the Second Amendment stuff, but I do not agree with the whole reparations thing because, again, I think that's just arguing something that's never gonna happen. To be honest with you. All right. Let's see here. Now the commies want to abolish your kitchen. Now, these are the same people that want to destroy the family. So let's go over this. This is from PJ Media. Add abolish your kitchen to the overlong list of things the commies want banned and rebuilt in their own sullen image. It isn't enough to abolish capitalism so that the vanguard of the proletariat may seize the means of production in the name of the downtrodden worker. That's been tried repeatedly and everywhere. It's been tried every time. The result is poverty, oppression, and death. And I make this point to a lot of people, so-called socialists and communists. We tried it before. It's been tried and it never worked. And they always come up with the same excuse. Oh, it just haven't been done like it's supposed to. Or that's not real socialism. That's not real communism. It doesn't work. It does not work on a large scale. Now, let us begin by abolishing our kitchens, suggests Erin Magalock in her glowing review of Sophie Lewis's new communist screed, Abolish the Family. This is ridiculous. Quote, if we begin by abolishing our kitchens, what else might we get a taste for destroying and for creating? That's crazy. At least she's admitting they wanting to destroy it. To the former, everything. To the latter, Venezuela. According to Lewis, quote, family is a terrible way to satisfy our desire for love and care and ought to be abolished. This got to be coming from someone who must had a terrible experience with their family growing up. I feel sorry for this individual that they don't understand the benefits there can be of having a family. The family you love, the home you built, those are things to be dispensed with by the state or the revolutionary politics of family abolition, as Magali put it. Get warm on your community gruel, comrades. There's no heat in the barracks tonight, and that's what communism end up normally. You end up with nothing, and that's why what's his name, Charles Schwab, he comes out and not Charles, what's his name, I cannot think of his name right now. Schwab though, last name Schwab. He comes out and say you will own nothing and be happy. That's what they want. But the rich, they will own everything. This is not the first time Lewis has called for abolishing the family. Her first book was full surrogacy, now feminism against family. Wow, these are some evil people. In it, she said that many more pregnancies should be surrogate because, quote, in doing so, summarize one review, we break down our assumptions that children necessarily belong to those who genetics they are. See, and that's one of the main things that they do with communism and socialism. They destroy the family, and your children belong to the state. That's why you see going on all over these schools with the whole transgender thing, where they don't want to tell the students' parents and what's going on and all this other stuff, because they don't believe that the parents actually have a right to know in their children's lives. And that's socialism, that's Marxism, that's communism. Communists are the terminator of politics. They can't be bargained with. They can't be reasoned with. They don't feel pity or remorse or fear. And they absolutely will not stop ever until you are dead. And I agree with that. They got to literally kill the anyone that stands against them, or anyone with a different ideology has to go in their eyes. They look at us as evil because we don't agree with them. So I'm done arguing with the communists. All the proof anyone ever needed that their system doesn't work is written in blood of 100 million dead. Shall we mock the communists instead? It's the one thing Twitter is still good for, so let's get to it. So here we go. Let's see what they're talking about on Twitter here. It's pretty funny. Hi, we're from the socialists. We want to abolish your kitchen, that thing you like and value, and that makes your life better. What do you get? Well, maybe vaguely something to do with childcare. Hey, where is everybody going? That's pretty funny. I guess they were replying to, if we begin by abolishing our kitchens, what else might we get a taste for? Collectively organized childcare. This is crazy. Well, this goes to prove that there are actually some drawbacks to making marijuana widely available and decriminalized, just not the ones everyone predicted. You can't blame communism on marijuana. I got to stop you there. You can't blame this on marijuana. You just got to I blame it on the education system and not showing how bad communism really is. I never thought I would live to see the day where people actually are pro-communism after all the evidence we have of how bad communism really is. But one important thing to remember about lefties is that they hate each other even more than they hate you. The Bolsheviks must kill off the Mensheviks. The brown shirts must kill off Antifa, etc. Now it's abolish kitchenettes versus abolish restaurants faction. This is crazy. Look at this tweet. Scott is replying to Gone Like Hell Machine. He said, I swear to God, abolish kitchens has to be one of the dumbest things that people have shitpost themselves into thinking they want. TFW, when your final stage socialism consists of a battle to the death between Abolish the Kitchens factions and the Abolish the Restaurant faction. It's just ridiculous nonsense. It's displaying the nonsense of communism and socialism and Marxism and their ilk. I, like the guy who tweeted the obvious answer, abolish food as bourgeoisie affectionation, whatever they're trying to say there. That comes later, comrade. Not even very much later. Then, of course, the personal dig. So they're responding, family is a terrible way to satisfy your desire. Nina responded, lady who couldn't get a date or cook a meal to save her life decided to write a book. Her solution, abolish the family and the kitchens. That is hilarious. I'm going to retweet that right now. That is hilarious. Give me a second while I retweet that. Slow computer. My computer is super slow. All right, let's see. That is hilarious. All right. Let's see if any more funny tweets here. Cooking at home is a waste of time. Only the government can run a kitchen smoothly. Government kitchens be like. That is hilarious. Let's see if any more funny tweets. The whole abolish the kitchen thing is wild to me because we should be putting kitchens everywhere. Same with beds under dry roofs, toilets, etc. Abolish your kitchen. This one guy you've never heard of said it was neat. You might like your kitchen, but push through that. Signed the Brooklyn Institute of Social Research. So that's pretty funny though about them wanting to abolish kitchens. It's ridiculous. All right, so let's go here with Zero Hedge here. Market crash as monetary laughing gas fades. Y'all know I've been covering the terrible economy, and I will continue to cover this to keep you informed. But the main issue in the economy is that there are two generations of market participants who have only witnessed expansionary policies. That is why the most pressing question for investors is not where earnings are headed or what the rate of change in economic growth is, but when central banks will pivot. And that's the great question. The Federal Reserve and other big central banks have caused a massive crisis. And I've been talking about this, for days now. But on the one hand, major central banks' balance sheets have stayed intact in local currency in 2022, and the path of rate hikes is quite accommodating. Markets, on the other hand, are collapsing. How is this possible? Because central banks believe their actions carry no consequences, and there is a legion of economists that twist facts to say there is no problem. However, the contrary is true. Markets and politicians are so accustomed to easy money that even the slightest normalization causes havoc around the world, and that's what we're seeing today. And I would, if they would have raised the interest rates back in 2020, or 2021, it wouldn't be as bad as it is today. So now they're backtracking. They're going back and trying to raise these rates at really, really fast, really high rates, really quick, and it's upsetting the market instead of just easing into the market rates, what they should have done back in 2020. The first issue that the great majority of the world's 90 trillion in reserve is invested in a carry trade against the U.S. currency. The second is that negative nominal and real rates have zombified the corporate world and led governments to feel that debt is unimportant. The third issue is significantly more serious. Investors and governments have been made to believe that announcements of rate hikes and liquidity reductions should be ignored because policymakers ignore them anyhow. But the market won't ignore it. The market will react to that no matter what the politicians try to say about it, no matter what the economists try to say about it. The market the market will respond and the market will correct itself. And that's what we're having here. It's a reckoning that's going on right now. All of this has resulted in an over indebted environment in which corporations with weak strategies found adequate cash to survive, and where multiple expansions in every sector from listed to private ventures was not an outlier but the norm. And this excess, which has been sustained over the previous 14 years, assertively lacks policies conducting in times of expansion and recession, has fostered an addiction to gradually more aggressive monetary operations. Governments, businesses, families, and market participants are dissatisfied with the normalization process that keeps central banks' balance sheets unnaturally elevated or interest rates significantly below inflation. They require more quickly and consistently. Absolutely true. We are taught that central banks must choose between recession and inflation. This is a logical fallacy. Central banks' mandate is not to design bloated leverage growth. Rather, it is to maintain price stability. And it's not doing that right now. It's not maintaining price stability right now. Recessions are not caused by central banks raising interest rates. They are the result of years of excessive debt, malinvestment, and reckless risk-taking. I totally agree with that. Markets are crumbling because the seemingly unstoppable expansion of prior years was based on monetary illusion. Monetary laughing gas makes you smile, but does not cure. Great point there. So that's my news for the market today. Let's talk about Ken Blackwell, how he predicts the GOP will take back the House and Senate in the midterms. No matter how much they gaslight, we know what's really going on. 1 second, make sure. Okay. No matter how much they try to gaslight us, we know what's really going on when it comes to people are fed up. People vote with their dollars. We got one of the worst economies in history, and people are going to vote accordingly. So I don't care what the pundits like Donna Brazile say and how much you try to gaslight. People know what the real deal is. Ken Blackwell, former Ohio Secretary of State and Mayor of Cincinnati, predicted that the Republican Party will win back the majority in both the House and Senate in the midterm elections. Quote, "We will see a sea change in the composition of the Congress, which means we will have a sizable majority in the House and we will have a squeaker of a majority in the Senate," Blackwell said in an interview after a news conference in Washington, D.C. with the Job Creators Network, focused on their new, quote, small business prosperity plan. We need some type of small business prosperity plan, so I'm going to have to look at that plan and see what it's about. I got the PDF here, but I'll go over it, in my free time and really see if it's a good plan or not, because we know that Biden is destroying small businesses. Small business make up the bulk of jobs. Job creation. A lot of the job creation comes from small business. So when you tax heavily small businesses, they're not going to create new jobs. And that's exactly what's coming down the pike. That's why Biden is hiring 87,000 new IRS agents to come in and attack small businesses. And with the higher tax rates for small businesses, again, less people are going to be hired, less jobs are going to be created, and people are going to end up having to let go. You even see Tesla, Elon Musk having to release people. A lot of these businesses are getting rid of people. Former House Speaker Newt Gingrich delivered live remarks virtually at the event and endorsed the prosperity plan. Part of the plan includes making Trump-era tax reform, the 2017 tax cuts, and Job Act permanent. I would agree with that. I think they should take that. Take that tax cut further. I think they should go further than the Trump tax cuts. But President Biden and other Democrats have criticized the 2017 legislation for benefiting wealthy Americans. And I got to say that's a lie. I know that I saw the tax cut help me. I saw the difference in my paycheck that I was taking home from the tax cut. The tax reform package include across the board tax cuts. Biden has called for an increase to 21% corporate tax rate in the legislation. Blackwell was asked how the tax reform law would become permanent under a GOP majority in Congress with Biden in the White House. Quote, the Biden administration will have a short shelf life if it doesn't get on board with things that would curb inflation downward and actually expand our economy and job creation, Blackwell said. Quote, it's going to be his choice. But one of the things that we know is that we can stop the damage and we can put a tourniquet on the bleeding. And I hope we do. I hope we do. All right, let's check this out. FBI caught in another major corruption scandal after misleading a judge. More stuff coming out about this corrupt FBI. Despicable. Again, they need to be disbanded. Another day, another example of FBI vast corruption. A new report based on unsealed documents have revealed that the Bureau misled a judge over a warrant in order to seize tens of millions of dollars in valuables without cause. And this is why I think it was it Ron Paul or Rand Paul that was trying to come out with a what is it called? Asset forfeiture bill, where they couldn't come in and take your stuff like this. But in total, $86 million in cash, with more in gold, silver, and jewelry, was taken by the federal government from over 1,400 safety deposit boxes under the guise of them being connected to crimes. This is ridiculous. Here. 18 months later, newly unsealed court documents show that the FBI and U.S. Attorney Office in Los Angeles got their warrant for that raid by misleading the judge who approved it. They omitted from their warrant request a central part of the FBI's plan. Permanent confiscation of everything inside every box containing at least $5,000 in cash or goods, a senior FBI agent recently testified. The FBI's justification for the dragnet forfeiture was its presumption that hundreds of unknown box holders were all storing assets somehow tied to unknown crimes, court records show. It took 5 days for scores of agents to fill their evidence bags with the bounty. More than $86 million in cash and a bonanza of gold, silver, rare coins, gem-studded jewelry, and enough Rolex and Cartier watches to stock a boutique. That is ridiculous that they're doing this. How do they get away with doing this stuff? The judge was not told of the plan when he issued the warrant, and as far as I can tell, there's still no reason to believe the FBI had any justification to do what they did. What crimes has been committed? What evidence did they have that the property in the boxes were gained via illegitimate means? Apparently, there was an investigation into U.S. private vaults which rented out the boxes, but the dots were never connected to those who had their stuff in the boxes, yet their assets were seized anyway. Imagine because you put your stuff in this particular vault. You had nothing to do with whatever illegal stuff that was going on. You just happened to store yourself in this vault, and because the FBI decided to do an investigation into the U.S. private vaults, they come in and take your stuff that has nothing to do with what improprieties might be going on. The DOJ was also involved in this, as the FBI was working directly with the U.S. Attorney's Office in Los Angeles. That office tried to block the release of these documents, per the report, but a judge handily the matter denied the request. Once again, the government was attempting to use the levers of secrecy to cover up its malfeasance, and we see that a lot. Every time they do some dirty, illegal stuff, they always try to say we need to keep it under, this is confidential stuff. We need to keep it classified. That's how they get away with their illegal stuff. Unfortunately, that's become standard fare, with many examples existing of how the FBI and DOJ have attempted to hide behind administrative procedure when they get caught red-handed. So what's the FBI excuse? They claim that they were under no obligation to tell the judge what their plan was, and that they only needed to provide him with probable cause for the search. So now the FBI says that the judge don't need to know. It's none of the judge business. We're the FBI. We can do what we want, and the judge doesn't need to know. So where's the checks and balances? If the judge don't keep them in check, then who is the FBI held accountable for? We know the FBI is not held accountable to the president because we saw what they did with Trump. We know the FBI is not held accountable to the DOJ because during the whole investigation of that stuff, no one got in trouble for the stuff that they did to Trump or any of that with the FBI or the DOJ. So who is the FBI held accountable to if not a judge? I guess we'll see what the court system has to say about that, but it doesn't pass muster. If a judge is going to sign a warrant, whether the FBI is just going to steal nearly $100 million in cash from bystanders in the ordeal, seems to be an important detail. And it is an important detail. Obviously, none of this is surprising. The FBI and the DOJ are power-drunk organizations that believe they are above the law. And why wouldn't they believe that? No consequences ever stem from their corrupt actions as they operate like an organized crime ring. Corruption on top of more corruption. All right, let's see. Woman's disturbing reaction to man calling her out for wrongdoing shows an infantilization of society. And I agree with the title. I watched this video on Twitter yesterday, and I could not believe how this lady reacted. And she blamed it on mental health. If you cannot blame this on mental health. If you cannot make a simple purchase without flipping out like this, then you need to find a therapist. You need some help. You shouldn't be out shopping if you're gonna act like this. And so let's go into this crazy story. This is from Red State. The author says, I've repeatedly speculated that social justice has an odd effect on the brain, and people who embrace it seem to suffer something akin to mental illness, and I would agree with that assessment. At this time, we don't know if the chicken came before the egg, and those with mental illness are simply attracted to it naturally, but we have confirmed cases of people being normal, going through a university education in quotes, and coming out the other side wholly indoctrinated. You can witness something like this on full display pretty regularly thanks to Twitter accounts like Libs and TikTok, but another video has emerged showing another instance of pure insanity. As you can see in the video below, a man is seen calmly explaining to Walmart employees that the woman in front of him cut in line to get there, and upon confronting her, she began throwing a very childish temper tantrum. This is ridiculous. The woman is sporting a childish backpack and still wearing a mask despite mandates clearly being lifted in the area, as no one else was wearing one. You can always point out who a leftist is by if they're wearing a mask or not. The one woman screamed that she had previously been R-word recently, and why would you even tell that to people? In a public area like that. This is something you discuss with your family. You discuss with maybe a therapist. You don't discuss it. You don't talk about this in a public place like Walmart. As such, couldn't stand to be touched by a man. The man explains to the staff that he hadn't touched her at all, just simply call her out for cutting line. And I would have did the same thing. I've done it before when someone cut me in line, and I've said something about it. I can't stand that when you take the time and you're waiting and someone cuts you. I call you out on it. So I get it. That could have been me there being screamed at by this crazy lady. But the woman is seen shaking and complaining. The Walmart employees told him that they take him to another register, at which point claimed that she threw some of the things that he had. The woman forcefully demanded that he leave, and when he didn't move fast enough, she began screaming at the top of her lungs. So let's check out this crazy video here. I saw it yesterday and I could not believe it.
Yeah, I can't calm down. I can't be fucking touched.
I didn't touch you,
I
man.
was raped not that long ago, and I can't stand another man touching me.
Well, no one did that.
Okay,
Is this a prank?
He won't go away. He
You're
needs to
in
go
it.
away. He's the fucking problem.
I need to leave.
No, just welcome. We'll take you to
I still got. Okay. She threw some of my stuff.
Okay, we'll just take you to another.
Hell if I know. I'm so sorry.
You're not sorry.
She wasn't sorry when she cut in line and then
You!
screamed
I didn't see you.
to make it. Oh, I just asked her if she saw anyone in
Just
line.
fucking leave. Just go.
That's an
Leave.
adult.
You're making it loud.
Let's just walk up.
I'm
to
just
her.
talking.
Walk up to her. Walk with Chris. Walk with Chris.
Just to calm everything down.
Clearly someone who has some type of mental health issue. She has a hard time with probably dealing socially with people. She possibly could have been the R word, but I mean, this is not how you act. This is not how you're supposed to act in public. This is someone that can't make a simple purchase. She's purchasing something for her dog. Look like some Febreze there or something. And this is how she reacts. She cuts line. If the guy called her out on it, all she had to do was be like, "Oh, my bad. I apologize." That's all it takes for me. If someone would have done that to me, I'll be like, "All right, whatever. It is what it is." But instead of her apologizing or saying, "Oh, I didn't see you there," she has a tirade, and this is not how you handle a situation. This is not how you're supposed to handle situations. While there's no footage to confirm what happened in its entirety, the reaction from the woman shows someone who is clearly disturbed, but her words and face mask give strong indicators that she adheres to modern sensibilities. She's definitely a leftist Karen. Moreover, she's displaying various behaviors that go along with, including extreme overreactions, shaking, and screaming. Language warning for the below. So here's a compilation. So again, mind the language here. We all remember her. That's the woman that reacted to Trump winning the election.
Anyways, I'm not done. Not done. Shut the fuck up. Feminists do not want you. Shut the fuck up.
I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck.
Back up. Savannah.
That flag and the troops are the reason you're able to out here.
You're fucking.
Look at this dude here. Oh my gosh, man. This is crazy. This is the world we live in. This is the leftist world order.
Like a
Bitch,
lunatic.
you're
When
fucking
was the last
stupid
time you
ass,
fought for freedom?
privileged ass, bitch. Get the fuck out of here now.
And she called somebody privileged. Look at that. She's the privileged. This is literally mental illness. It's literally mental illness. I mean, this is crazy that grown adults act like this. She is clearly disturbed. Look at her.
Other side of the wall for you.
I would have kindly handed that lady my card. Be like, hey, I would have just slid it to her. Be like, hey, hit me up if you need a therapist. You know what I'm saying? I definitely. This is some crazy stuff right here. I mean, I've seen some crazy stuff too. I worked in some crazy places and seen a lot of crazy things. But this is no excuse for this behavior. And a lot of it has to do with people have problems socially. They don't know how to react to things, and they've been probably lived a sheltered life, never been told no, and then when you go against someone that actually knows what they're talking about and they hit you with facts, you your brain like goes into this this overload thing or something where you have a hard time computing and you can't argue against them, so you act like this. This is how you act.
USA!
Y'all get it. It's a bunch of crazy leftists. All right. Let's see. Let's see what else we got going on here. Noted CIA analyst Evan McMullen still believes without evidence that Trump is a Russian asset. This is crazy. Even though we had the whole Mueller report and all this other stuff that said the contrary, it is deep. We spent millions upon millions of dollars investigating this, but he knows better than the investigation. So, former 2016 independent presidential candidate Evan McMullen, I don't even know this guy. I don't even know this guy. Has recently been making a big deal about his CIA background and his campaign to take out incumbent conservative Senator Mike Lee. He claims having previously come under some scrutiny from both Dan McCullen at NRO and Quinn Hillier at the Washington Examiner, but there's a specific aspect of McMullen's story that in the wake of Russiagate exploding after McMullen ran for president extremely unsuccessfully, especially calls into question his CIA bona fides with election day approaching. It's time to address this head on. And I agree. And first of all, why would you vote? Why would you put someone in office? You would trust someone that's a CIA agent. You would trust them to run your government. Even though I believe Barack Obama was a CIA asset. But while no one is questioning that McMullen served, and everyone who steps up to serve their country deserves some measure of appreciation, no matter how much or how little they did, there's one huge tell in his post-2016 public statement and activities that McMullen wasn't exactly Maya from Zero Dark 30, or even her less competent and committed colleagues, nor was he Sandy Grimes or Janine Vertatul, real CIA agents who caught one of the most notorious traitors in history, Aldrich Ames. In fact, unless McMullen has literally just lost his mind since he left the agency, he was probably a low-level paper pusher, a paper shuffler that didn't do much for the CIA at all. I don't know. I can't say any of that. I don't know anything about this guy, but that's what their Red State is saying. And who is now exploiting its name and prestige to argue he has the relevant experience to be a U.S. Senator when he is more in the category of overambitious D.C. grifter. After all, supposed CIA intel guru McMullen bought into the New York Magazine's Jonathan Chai's, quote, Trump is a Russian asset theory, hook, line, and sinker. In 2018, in fact, McMullen actually shared a Chait article alleging Trump was a Russian asset, calling it, quote, the best summary of an assessment, and saying some things simply are what they seem. He called it a substantial, though still measured piece. That was, shall we say, not the read of most people. And I mean, I said from the beginning that the whole stuff was bullcrap. For example, even NPR dismissed the Russian asset theory as frankly speculative, and made the case instead that Trump ego drove him to focus on his election victories and praise Putin so that his 2016 victory didn't seem tainted. David Leinhart of the New York Times called the Trump Russian asset theory the flimsiest of all the Trump Russian theories, and encouraged people to ignore this theory unless real evidence emerges. To date, it has not. More notably, it wasn't the read of really anyone with actual intelligence or military background. For example, notorious anti-Trump professor and pundit Tom Nichols, who taught at the U.S. Naval War College, said at the time that Chait Russian asset theory was not proven, and that the charge that Putin was Trump's handler was over the top. So even people that believe in Russian collusion stuff didn't believe in this stuff. This is not an episode of The Americans, as Nichols put it. The magazine Foreign Policy argued instead that Trump behavior was best explained by his desire to emulate Putin rather than him being any kind of traitor or asset. Their point was that Trump sees Putin as the kind of leader he would like to be, a sort of kindred spirit who, like Trump, does whatever he wants regardless of any moral or legitimate constraints. This tallies with the read of a Clinton-era ambassador to Russia who said there is never something about Putin and his macho image that appeals to Trump, and who also pegs Trump behavior with regard to Putin to Trump's ego and self-obsession. So that's all I'm gonna read about that. This guy should not be running for should not be senator. I don't even know what state he's running for. Hopefully he does not get elected, because this guy's an idiot. All right. Finding needles. Liberal states' effort to decriminalize hard drugs turned disastrous, critics say. And I said that, I mean, most people with common sense knew this was going to happen. This is what happened when you give people needles to use. They're going to use it. Critics of Oregon's Drug Addiction Treatment and Recovery Act have spoken out against the failed attempt to prevent hard drug addiction to substances like meth, heroin, and cocaine, according to ABC outlet KATU. The act, implemented in 2020, aimed to decriminalize hard drugs for personal use while also providing treatment for addicts. Yet the plan has backfired, with overdose rates up 20% in 2022. The act intended to reduce the stigma of addiction while addicts sought treatment, yet a majority of addicts in the state have not used the available treatment option. This is crazy. So it's actually up 20%, and we all called it. We all said this was going to happen. It's common sense, but leftists don't listen to logic. They listen to emotion. And when you listen to emotion, this is what you get. GOP Oregon gubernatorial candidate Christine Drazen referenced the act known as Measure 110 as a, quote, terrible idea because it made the addict crisis significantly worse, KATU reported. Betsy Johnson, a former veteran lawmaker and unaffiliated gubernatorial candidate, called Measure 110 quote, failed experiment. Quote, I voted no on Measure 110 because decriminalizing hard drugs like heroin and meth was and is a terrible idea, said Drazen. As expected, it has made our addiction crisis worse, not better. If there is no formal or informal pressure on addicted people to seek treatment and recovery and thereby stop using drugs, we should expect continuing high rates of drug use, addiction, and intended harm, said Keith Humphreys, an addiction researcher and professor at the Stanford University and former senior advisor in the White House Office of National Drug Control Policy, KATU reported. And the thing is, when it comes to addiction, when it comes to drugs, the person has to want to stop. If they are not motivated to stop, then nothing you can do, nothing. There's absolutely nothing you can do to help them. They're going to have to want to do it themselves. That's why they talk about rock bottom so much and all this other stuff. If you go to any type of AA meeting or a Narcotic Anonymous or any stuff like that, the people, court order's not even going to help. They're going to have to want to do it themselves. People have begun to run out of patience, said Scott Winkles, lobbyist for the League of Oregon Cities, KATU reported. People are going to need to see progress, Winkles said. If you're living in a community where you're finding needles, how many times do you need to see a needle in a park before you lose your cool? Stephen Allen, Behavioral Health Director of Oregon Health Authority, acknowledged the failure of the bill, but believes a, quote, true milestone has been reached as an additional $302 million is being sent to rehab facilities. What? I mean, it's not, they keep throwing money at the problem, thinking that's going to fix it. Though funding is increasing, the pre-existing treatment options did not entice addicts into recovery. 136 out of 16,000 addicts who access services enter treatment. Only 9,600 addicts received harm reduction services for clean needles and overdose medications. 2,400 received housing, and 1,920 obtained peer support. The road to get here has not been easy. Oregon is the first state to try such a bold and transformative approach, Allen told a state Senate committee. So why aren't they getting rid of this? According to Oregon law, people caught with hard drugs receive a citation of $100. If they call the health assessment hotline, the fine is waived. Yet the majority of the 3,100 tickets issued have been ignored. I don't know who comes up with this stuff, and I don't understand why no one checks them. Why no one say, hey, this is not going to work. Government funding bill to include over $12 billion in new Ukraine aid, and this was what I was referring to when I was talking about reparations earlier. Oops, hold on one second. When I was talking about reparations earlier, I was alluding to this. They're gonna keep sending money to Ukraine before they give money to black people. This is crazy. $12 billion more dollars. I don't get it. I don't get it. Our country is struggling right now. People in our country are struggling right now, and you want to send $12 billion more dollars to Ukraine. A government funding bill set for a Tuesday procedural vote in the Senate will include over $12 billion to help Ukraine continue fighting its bloody war against Russia, a source familiar with the matter told Fox News Digital. Now, this makes no logical sense that you continue to give these people money. The inclusion of funding comes after President Biden requested $3.7 billion for Ukraine earlier this month. If the Senate bill passes, the latest tranche will bring the total funding of Ukraine approved by Congress to approximately $65 billion. Again, to quote Ron Paul, we don't have a taxation problem. We have a government spending problem. The government spending is out of control. We gave this country $65 billion. 65. Black folks, you're never going to see that reparation. That's your reparations right there, black folks. That's your reparations right there. And y'all went and voted for this. Y'all voted for this by voting for Biden. Y'all voted for this by voting for Democrats. And then you're going to fix your mouth to ask for reparations. That's your reparations right there. The source familiar with the bill said it will also include funding for Afghan alley resettlement, winter heating assistance aid for Jackson, Mississippi amid its water crisis, reauthorization of FDA user fees, and more. I don't know what the FDA user fees is. Biden also asked for money to fight stupid 19 and monkeypox, though many top Republicans oppose those priorities, and it is not clear if they will make it into the bill. Congress faces a midnight deadline on Friday to pass the temporary funding bill, or else non-essential parts of the government will shut down. That bill is expected to keep the government funded until after the midterms. My question is, this is money that they need to get us through the midterms. Why put Ukraine in there? Why put that in the bill? That has nothing to do with our government funding. We're supposed to be funding our government so we could continue to fund our government. What does that has to do with giving Ukraine $12 billion? This is the bait and switch that they always do. It's common for lawmakers to try to add other priorities to these last minute bills. Though some are likely to complain about these additions, many Senate Republicans say they want the funding bill to be as clean as possible. A significant proportion of Republicans, particularly senators and moderates in both chambers, are still supportive of continued funding of Ukraine, which is ridiculous. The majority of Americans don't want this funding to go to Ukraine. Even leftists, I see a lot of leftists, well, I shouldn't say a lot. I see some leftists even saying, why are we giving all this money to Ukraine? But there's still some idiots out there with their Ukraine flag on Twitter and all this other stuff. But another round of foreign aid could draw complaints from GOP fiscal hawks and those concerned about increased U.S. involvement in war. Republicans supportive of funding, plus Democrat majority in both chambers, will likely add up to more than enough votes to get the Ukraine money to Biden desk. This is ridiculous. This is just ridiculous on the face of it. Let's see what else we got here. This is my last one. I might do some Twitter trolling. We'll see. We'll see how I feel after I go over this last one. That's trillion with the T. Stocks are down 7,600,000,000, I think, in the market value since Biden took office. $7 trillion since Biden took office. This is MRC TV. Nick Candice, or however you pronounce his name. Well, he reports that when I was a kid, if someone said a number in the trillions, we would have thought you were making up numbers. Today, we can say with all certainty that President Joe Biden regime has cost this country literal trillions in market value since they took the White House. During a Monday morning edition of American Newsroom on Fox News, co-host Julie Bandores noted a very troubling statistic that should worry every single taxpaying American, and even those who don't pay taxes. The markets are set to open after an absolutely brutal week on Wall Street. Bandura said stocks now down 7.6 trillion since Biden took office. Even fellow co-host Bill Hemmer had a grim opening on the other side of the commercial break. So let's check out this video.
Republicans showed up with a very strong, compelling economic message. What do we have on our side? Nothing.
The markets are set to open after an absolutely brutal week on Wall Street. Stocks now down $7.6 trillion since President Biden took office.
So the markets are now open, whether you like it or not, right? Brutal close on Friday. Bad week all around. The Dow hit its lowest level since November of 2020, off to the negative side by triple digits yet again. Whew. Brian Brenberg, professor of business economics, King's College in Manhattan, and a Fox News contributor. Hello to you, sir. Morning. You get the honors of trying to make us feel good.
Yeah, I'm not going to try to make you feel good. This is not a feel-good moment. Markets are basically saying Jay Powell has realized he's got to put us into recession, and we don't have a lot of confidence in his ability to land.
We've been in a recession statistically. They just been not admitting it. So maybe now Powell is going to admit, yes, we're in a recession. Look at the markets. This is ridiculous.
That plane, which means it could get very, very bumpy. Look, let's at least be real. That's the situation that we're in. Inflation is not under control, and it's going to take a lot of work by the Fed to get there. The problem is we got an administration that doesn't want to admit the problem.
Yeah,
they don't want to talk about spiking inflation.
Well, and they also don't want to call it a recession.
Yeah.
That's another question, which, a lot of market analysts will say we've been in a recession. I don't understand why they can't just own it.
It's so foolish to play word games right now. That's what I don't get. These guys should know this. They're the politicians. Don't play word games right now. Be honest about the situation. I think if the administration was honest and said we made some big mistakes, but we get that now, it would change the game for them. But they keep doubling down. And so people say...
They can't admit it. They cannot admit that they're wrong. They can't admit that they're messing up. They can't admit that their policies aren't working. They can't admit that they need to switch gears because that will hurt them during the midterm. So they're not going to admit it. Maybe after midterms, they might come out and say, yeah, we're in a recession. But I can guarantee between now and midterms in November, they are not going to mention the R word. They are not going to mention recession at all.
Not happen if it happens at all until November 9th.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was saying. I swear I haven't seen this video. That was just my take. He got the same take I had. It's not going to happen before midterm.
Yeah, after the election, we're going to change course a little bit. But I think that's why the polls are so bad for these guys right now, because Americans...
And that's exactly right. That's why the polls are so bad. If they come out and say, yeah, you know what I'm saying, we need to maybe switch gears now, I can see some leftists, I can see some Democrats being empathetic to that, but they're flat out lying about it. Everyone knows it. The emperor has no clothes. We can see it, and everyone knows it.
Have lost faith that they're willing to acknowledge reality.
Yeah. I want to listen to KGP and Edward Lawrence talking about how they, have projected what the economy is going to do and where we are right now. Watch.
They projected the economy would grow at just 0.2% this year and 1.2% next year, which is pretty slow growth. And I'm just curious, is this the stable growth that you're talking about?
We're coming off of last year's historic economic growth. A lot of that is because of the work of this president and Democrats in Congress.
When they use terms like stable growth, that's bullcrap. It's not stable, and there is no growth right now. This is the language that they're talking about. This is the ministry of truth doublespeak.
Passing the American Rescue Plan would put us in a position where we saw the most stable growth, strongest growth that we have seen in modern history.
I mean, what? are they?
None of that is based in reality. None of that is based in any type of reality.
Are they also in this country and they're
There's no lipstick container big enough for that stable growth. We've shrunk for 2 quarters in a row. If you're talking about stable shrinking, then yeah, we've got that kind of economy. But they're not looking forward. They can't look ahead and say, here's how we're going to deliver a return to growth. And that's their problem.
I think the Dow all-time high was 36 ticks. I think you're right around 29.6 now. So you're down 7,000 points. It's all no bueno. Let me show you this. The issues that matter to voters on the economy. Here's what ABC and the Washington Post told over the weekend. State of the economy under Biden, not so good and poor. Now, 74%. There's another one.
That is crazy. Now, this is the leftist own polls here. In April, it was 58% said it's not so good, poor. Now, it's 74%. That's why they have to keep gaslighting. They have to keep gaslighting. They cannot admit that it's the recession, that we're in a recession. They can't admit that the economy is doing bad. Because they know, but people know though. People already know because we go to the grocery stores. We purchase things. We know how expensive things have gotten.
Who do you trust in the economy? Who do you trust in inflation? And Republicans clearly win both categories.
You think about the economy like a dashboard on your car, right? The lights are starting to pop everywhere. It was prices for a while. Now it's the growth factor. Now it's interest rates. People are looking at that dashboard and they're saying this engine is not running the way that it needs to run. But the president keeps saying we're in a great spot. This is a strong economy. When those two things don't fit together, people believe what they see.
And that's a great point there. People believe what they see, and looking at it, it's like he said, it's no bueno. It's no bueno. All right, let's check out Twitter real quick. Let's see if anything's going on with Twitter. I think I haven't been on Twitter all day today. I think I just retweeted that one thing with you all. While I'm pulling that up, let me also pull up you know what, I'll skip that. All right, let's see what we got going on. Judge Joe Brown, he retweeted something replying, politics and policy at reparations scale will have creation at the ballot box. Trump was the only guy that had the balls to make a deal. He talked to Ice Cube. We should have taken a $500 billion platinum plan. Amen to that. I'll retweet that. Absolutely. More Judge Joe Brown. Flashback. Exclusive Judge Joe Brown. Tyler Perry's role as Medea is bad for our community. I would agree with that. We see what's going on with the whole transgender thing right now. Let's see. Bank of England says will not hesitate to raise interest rates to curb inflation after the pound fell to a record low against the U.S. dollar. So they're going to raise interest rates. A libertarian will still have him a patriot. And libertarian will still call him a patriot. Breaking. Putin has granted Russian citizenship to U.S. whistleblower Edward Snowden. Wow. All right, let's see what we got here. Nord Stream 2 pressure mysteriously plunges. Y'all keep on messing with Russia, Europe. Y'all gonna be out of oil. Let's see. Joe lied about Hunter Biden's business deal. Let's listen to this. I'm not gonna listen to the whole thing because it's 6 minutes long, but let's see what Tom Fitton do. Tom Fitton does great work at Judicial Watch. Judicial Watch, they do great work.
The president of Judicial Watch is on the line, Tom Fitton. Tom, great to have you back on the broadcast. There was a quote from Joe Biden's 60 Minutes interview over the weekend where he said there's not a single thing that I've observed at all from that would affect me or the United States relative to my son, Hunter. Is he the stupid? Is he lying? Is it a combination? What's going on, Tom?
Hey, Alex, thank you. I think it's the president who doesn't want to be a witness against his son, while falsely asserting that he had nothing to do with his activities. So
they literally share a bank account. Joe Biden shared a bank account with his son. I mean, so when he's getting when Hunter get these kickbacks, you know, he said 10% go to the big guy. Who y'all think the big guy is?
Observe, which is a signal to the Justice Department, don't ask me any questions. But of course, it's completely at odds with the material on his laptop, with Tony Bobulinski, with his own son's statements to media.
Bobulinski was Hunter Biden's ex-business partner. He the one that came out that authenticated the stuff that was on the laptop was true because they emailed back and forth, they text back and forth, and it was all on his laptop. He verified. He was one of the first people to verify that laptop. That's who Bobulinski is.
And the evidence is clear that this was a racketeering type scheme that involved using the vice president's office to create wealth for his family and him.
I want to ask you about what you see from what we know from the laptop, from what we know from any public statements by Hunter Biden that you think are potentially illegal or demand investigation, and what could be done potentially to investigate those things.
Well, I mean, the simplest thing is the most famous phrase. It's 10% for the big guy, and
yep, that's what I alluded to.
That phrase has been confirmed 6 ways to Sunday about money directed to the vice president. Now, this is material from after he was vice president, but we have instance after instance of Hunter Biden and his business associates dealing directly with Joe Biden as vice president of the United States. And, Joe has lied about his knowledge of his son's work. He said, I never discuss business with him. And this is going back years, at least to the beginning during the campaign era, during the 2020 campaign. Hunter said, Joe said to me, I hope you know what you're doing. And of course, you have his brother also involved in this. And supposedly there's a Delaware grand jury under the U.S. attorney in the Blackwater and up there investigating this, which tells you the Justice Department doesn't want anything really done.
Of course not.
And this has been slow. This has been slow going. They've been basically burying this investigation, and there needs to be a special counsel. And
there's not going to be a special counsel unless the Republicans take over the House and Senate. There's not going to be any type of investigations unless that happens.
And the rules require it. Remember what they said about Mueller. The Justice Department can't investigate the president and people close to him and his family. And
the thing is, when they went after Trump for this frivolous stuff, they set the president. So they can basically have a special counsel for anything now. And this is something that definitely warrants a special counsel, though.
Why aren't those rules being applied here? It's a corrupt cover-up, and it's a scandal. It's the number one scandal under Garland, in my view, his refusal to investigate criminal activity tied to the president. That's readily apparent to any other citizen who looks at it.
First, I want to talk about the more details on the corruption or apparent corruption or perhaps illegality, and then I want to talk about what the process would be to fully get to the bottom of the extent to how much illegality has taken place. But you noted something that Joe Biden had said that he'd never talked about business with Hunter. I looked into it just when he was vice president, and Hunter Biden took at least 23 flights out of Joint Base Andrews, which is where Air Force One and Air Force Two is. Presumably those are flights with Joe.
Yeah, the thing is, why is he on these flights? Why was Hunter on these flights? It harkened back to the questions when they were asking all this stuff to Jen Psaki, and she said, well, he's not part of this. They was come out and say he's not part of this administration. So why was he taking flights with his dad then, if he wasn't part of any type of administration?
Well, I imagine a lot of those are international flights, because we know he went to China with Joe. And are we supposed to believe that they didn't talk business on 13-hour plane flights? And if so, then what kind of a horrible dad is Joe Biden if he doesn't even take any interest in what his son is doing? It's so far-fetched. It's
because it's a lie. It's because it is a lie.
Far-fetched in either direction. So why was there no curiosity from the media that this happened? It's the media didn't report that detail. I reported it.
It was no curiosity from the media because they don't want to know. Remember, they wanted Trump out so bad that they turned a blind eye to this. They'd rather have a corrupt, evil person in office than have Trump in office. That's how bad they hated Trump. So they turned a blind eye. They didn't want to know. They didn't want to ask the questions because they didn't want to know the answer. You know the saying, never ask a question you don't want to answer to. So they didn't ask the questions.
Last year, after, it's a 6-7-year-old detail, no one noted it. Why is that? I actually got it out of some of your, by the way, Tom, you get credit for this because I was going through some of the documents you unearthed with FOIA requests to calculate.
Copper Sky said, hello, JJ, man. I want to know what rock that 24% are hiding under. Yeah, me too, Copper Skies. I wonder who is the 24%. That's what I would love to talk to. I would love to interview the 24%.
That it's pretty stunning stuff.
Yeah, 5 trips to China, trip to Russia, and then he stopped using Secret Service protection. So for a good period of the vice president's second term, we don't know what he was doing. Now, right now, we see the Secret Service for
Copper Skies. Excuse me, Copper Skies. I'm making you a moderator. For if I ever do, blow up one day and have a bunch of people chatting, we'll have you there moderating. So appreciate your support, Copper Skies. Copper Skies is a Patreon member. If you're not a Patreon member, join us on Patreon. I put out a lot of good information. We do a lot of talk about a lot of topics over there. So join us over there on my Patreon. The link is in the description of my link tree.
The current activities related to Hunter Biden, to find out where Hunter's been and what we're spending on the security.
Copper Sky said, nice, haha, let's look forward to that day. It's well deserved. Thank you, Copper Skies. I'll just keep plugging away. I don't care if you're my only person listening. I'm still gonna talk because this is my outlet. This is how I get this stuff out there so it doesn't stay bottled up in me. I got a lot of thoughts. I got a lot of takes. So I love doing this, and I'm gonna be doing a lot more lives as well. I'm about to start getting really, really busy with my therapy business, but I will be doing more live streams, so be checking that stuff out.
They're stonewalling that. We sued the State Department just a few weeks ago. on material about Hunter and China and, Burisma and Ukraine and other countries. They're stonewalling that. And the media isn't just incurious. Alex, they attack anyone who asks these questions. Heck, they impeached the media's allies in Congress, impeached with their full support Trump for raising questions about Biden corruption.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing right there. That's the crazy thing right there. Imagine you hearing things. You literally see a man on TV admitting to doing some shenanigans, admitting to the corruption that he did on TV, saying, "Yeah, I said if you don't do this, if you don't fire them, you're not gonna get the $1 billion." And so Trump, he goes talk to the Ukraine president at the time. It was before Zelensky. I can't remember the president's name. He said, "Hey, could you look into this? This sounds kind of fishy. Look into this, see what's going on." And so, and then he get impeached for it. How do you look into corruption and you end up getting impeached for it? That makes no sense.
They suppressed happily material about the Hunter Biden laptop, and even now, grudgingly, while admitting it's true, attack those who brought it forward. It's, this is not a media that, just suppresses, that I quote, ignore stories they don't like. They attack those who do independent journalism that they oppose because of political reasons.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, let's see what else is going on. Maybe I'll check out some videos. I'll see if there's any interesting videos. Biden student loan cancellation will cost $400 billion. That's crazy. So you're giving people $10,000 and you're going to create $400 billion in debt. This is not a smart move. And $10,000, I got to tell you, is not really going to do much for my student loan debt. Let's see, Judge Joe Brown. Judge Joe Brown been tweeting like crazy. If you spend enough time fabricating false realities in your own head, what is actually happening around you will start to feel like a fabrication too. I agree. Let's see. Russians are finally fighting back. What we got here? All right, let's check this out. Where's the rewind button? Oh, this is live.
Suspend their clearance, which means that they can't do the work that they would normally do. Then they can take them off the payroll, take their badge and gun, sideline them, and then hope that, they can just sort of grind them into compliance and get them to quit rather than continue to fight because they don't have any money.
Right.
All right. Let's see. Anything else going on? Uncle Hotep retweeted. Shout out to Uncle Hotep. That's my guy. If you're not following Uncle Hotep, I suggest you follow him on YouTube. He is very, very funny. He got some great takes over there. Check out the Hoteps. Let's see. He says, Hotep Been Told You is another great show. That's on Hotep Jesus YouTube page every Thursday at 8 o'clock, I think, Eastern time. It's a really good show, really funny take. I be on there all the time with them, shooting the breeze and putting my little takes in the chat, so check them out as well. Let's see. Brett Favre has been accused of playing a role in misappropriation of $8 million. I know about that. In public funds intended for welfare recipients in his home state of Mississippi. Some fans are calling for his removal from the Hall of Fame. He earned the Hall of Fame. You got to separate the two. I'm tired of people not separating the two. What you do on a field or on a court is what you do on the field or on a court. What you do on outside of that should be on the outside of that. You shouldn't equate the two. And he said, or we could just arrest him. That's true. Or we could just arrest him. That's true. Like, it makes no sense to take him out the Hall of Fame. What he did on the field was amazing. He might be a despicable person, but that don't change what he did on the field. And that same could be said with R. Kelly. R. Kelly is a despicable person. What he done to them kids was despicable. But You got to take that. You can't equate that with his music. His music is totally separate from his other stuff. What he was doing. All right, let's see here. The Great Reset ain't gonna reset itself. Let's see. Remember when everyone screamed every 5 damn seconds about Trump being in charge of nukes and causing World War III when he kept us out of new conflicts and things de-escalated globally? Yet, as many are saying, the adults in the room are A-okay. The Great Reset. See, that's why I love Uncle Hotep, man. He got some great takes there. It's pretty funny. Marissa Henson, she's a reporter, commissioner, sits on a board. So this is Harris County stuff. I'm gonna have to delve into this. Reforming the bail system. The Heaton report is based upon bail reform advocate Paul Heaton. I definitely don't believe in that bail reform. If you break the law, and it's been proven that you broke the law, you should go spend the time in prison. Answer the question, Karine. Press Secretary won't say if Biden thinks American cities are safe. Let me see if this one has a video. Let's see. I want to hear Ducey call her out. Ducey been calling her out lately, and she has no retort. I was not expecting to be on this long today, especially since I went on earlier, but it's a lot of good stuff going on right now. So, all right, let's see. Fox News is Peter Ducey couldn't get a straight answer on Monday when he asked White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre if President Joe Biden thought America's big cities are safe. Let's see.
Thank you, Karine. Does President Biden think America's big cities are safe?
Can you say more?
Well, we know that deaths and
Hold on.
about 20%.
Hold on, let me just stop this for a second. When she said, "Can you say more?" The question is pretty self-explanatory. Are American cities safe? Yes or no? Do he believe it's safe? So what do you mean, say more? But I guess it gives her a minute to gather her thoughts, so I won't fault her on that too much.
In the first half of this year, so I'm wondering if he thinks America's big cities are safe.
Are you talking about the New York Times story specifically, or is that what you're referring to?
The murder rate still 30% above its 2019 level. They're all from the Council on Criminal Justice. So we've seen
30%. Crime is up 30% in New York. It's so bad. It's so bad.
Some high-profile examples of this. The Washington Commanders running back was being mugged. He got shot. Karen Bass, member of Congress, had her house robbed. These are high-profile people. So should everyday Americans who are not in the public eye feel safe?
So I'll say this. That same story also stated that the crime is complicated and multifaceted. Look, this is a president who has secured historic funding to make sure that...
What is multifaceted about it? The crime is high. It has a lot to... You got to look at it. You're releasing criminals out on the streets. Crime is going up. I mean, it's not hard to figure out what's going on here.
Law enforcement has what it needs, especially, and he was able to do this in the face of opposition from Republicans during a time where he inherited... Hold
on, I got to rewind it. I missed it. What opposition?
During
what opposition?
a time, especially, and he was able to do this in the... Look, this is a president who has secured historic funding to make sure that law enforcement has what it needs, especially, and he was able to do this in the face of opposition from Republicans.
You see how she flipped the script? She's trying to act like it was the Republicans that was talking about defund the police. That this is revisionist history. It wasn't even that long ago, and they're still trying to blame the defunding thing on Republicans. This is nuts. This is nuts. This is crazy. We literally have y'all with signs saying defund the police, and you're pretending like that didn't happen.
During a time where he inherited a rising crime rate from the previous administration, the president put forth the American Rescue Plan, and in that very plan, there was more than $300 billion to go to local states and local cities to make sure that they were able to hire law officers. They were able to hire firefighters. They were able to hire people that were critical to their needs as they were dealing with a pandemic. Republicans voted against that.
So I guess just the original question, does President Biden think America's big cities are safe?
It is not a yes or no question. It is very
yes,
much
it is.
a question of what has he done? That's how we see the question.
Do you believe big cities are safe? I will answer the question. No, I do not believe they are safe. And that's coming from me who live in a big city. I see the crime. I get the emails daily about how many people who got mugged when and who got killed, and I see what's going on. So it's nothing that you can say except for it has to be, yes, we know that crime is going up. It's a fact. We see it in the statistics. There is no nuance to it. American cities aren't safe.
Is what has he done to make sure that cities, and it doesn't matter if it's a big city or a small city, it doesn't matter if it's in a red state or a blue state. What matters is that we have the funding and we have done the work, put the policy forward to make sure that these cities, whether it's big or small, have what they need to protect their community. And that's what this president has done, again, without the help of Republicans.
That's all lies. Copper Sky say, you can throw all the money in the world at cities for crime, but it does nothing if Soros DAs let them go free. Absolutely. That is right, Copper Skies. It's a policy problem. It's a policy problem. Your policies are incentivizing criminals. It's simple as that. Funding versus ideology. That's right. They believe that the criminals need to be out on the street, which is ridiculous. And we're saying we're bearing the fruits of their policy. We knew before Biden even took office that this was going to happen. We talked about this. We said this was going to happen, and now it's bearing the fruit.
And my last one on this. Jen Psaki says that crime is a huge vulnerability for Democrats. Why would she say that?
So, again, I can't do electoral politics from here, as you know. But I don't agree with your characterization of what she actually said.
I did I showed the video yesterday where she said that. It's what characterization? She said it. She said it's plain and simple. She said crime is a vulnerability for Democrats. Again, she tried to make like it's some type of nuance that need to be added to it, or she didn't really mean what she said, or it's no nuance needed. She said it plain and simple. High crime, what's going on right now in these cities is a problem for Democrats. Plain and simple. It's nothing you can talk. You can't talk your way out of that.
But I'll say this, and I've already.
Just ridiculousness on top of ridiculousness, and this is what happens when you don't have a competent press secretary. Jen Psaki, I say time and time again, I don't like her. I don't agree with her ideology or any of that stuff, but she was awesome at her job. She was good at spinning Biden's bull crap. But this person that you hired, Karine, she is horrible. This is what happened when you don't get someone with merit in. You end up having someone like her that can't answer questions, is not good at stretching the truth like Jen Psaki was. All right, let's see what else we got going on here. Paul Joseph Watson, Slippery Slope remains undefeated. Why can't gay or lesbian twins have? Oh my gosh. I'm not even gonna read that. Oh my gosh. Slippery Slope remains undefeated. I agree. Slippery Slope is undefeated. And this is what this is what they were all talking about. We were talking about gay marriage and what would happen and all this other stuff. Now look what's going on. Now is this having you know what with your siblings is gonna be okay, and animals and all this other stuff is gonna happen now. Let's see. I love Janine Pirro. I have her book. Great book. Let's see what she has to say.
You know what? You have to ask yourself, why are we in this situation? Why did people who knew nothing about crime or law enforcement or anything decide that we're going to do this social justice thing? And why are we as Americans paying taxes tolerating this kind of criminal behavior where there are no consequences? Our legal system is now so consumed with the rights of the criminal that we give the criminal top billing. It's the criminal justice system. It's not the victim's justice.
That's right. They don't care about the victims. They don't care about the victims. In California, they got rid of the victim alert system, where they would let the victims know if the person that they're the person that committed a crime against them was getting released. They would call them and let them know, hey, the victim is getting the criminal is about to get released. Just a common courtesy. They got rid of that because they don't care about victims anymore. It's all about criminals. And again, this is by design. The more criminals you have out on the street, the more chaos. The more chaos comes, the more people asking for control. Hey, the government got to step in and do something about this. And so the government comes in and drop the hammer and control and take over everything. And this is what it's about. This is what this whole thing is about here.
System. And I've said this before, the victim who never chose to be a part of it. And we coddle criminals in this new social justice milieu as if they're the violated as opposed to the violators. And then we deny the trauma of the victims. Now, that's all fine and dandy, right? Here's the bottom line. You've got to reform the bail laws. You've got to put judges and DAs in office who know what they're doing. Stop with this social justice nonsense, or you're going to suffer crime.
She's saying basically the same thing Copper Skies was saying. It's the DAs that's letting them out of jail, letting them out of prison. It's the DAs that's doing this. The DAs aren't prosecuting like they should. The DAs aren't asking for the sentencing that should be. That's what the issue is. And thank you, Copper Skies, for pointing that out.
Because crime doesn't just destroy your life or your family's life. It destroys neighborhoods and cities and businesses, and it's destroying America. If we looked at what went on in the UK during the Queen's burial and that whole thing for 12 days, we didn't see people hating each other. We didn't see signs and protests. There was unity. There is no unity in America. And the Democrats have brought us this divide where, they're all out there. We're on the side of the criminal, and we're going to give them bail to the criminals, and we're paying the price. It's about time we got them out of office.
Amen. Thank you, Judge Janine. I love her. If you don't have her book, I advise you get her book. It's a great book. Let's see. The Phoenix Police Department said it made its largest fentanyl bust ever this week when officers seized 1 million pills containing a powerful synthetic opioid. I think I read that a couple days ago. And you got to be careful. I've seen some of the pills. These pills, it look like candy. It looks like candy. So if you got any small children that's going trick-or-treating, you definitely want to check their candy. You can Google it online and see a picture of it. Let's see. PragerU. Next week, I officially become a PragerU adjunct professor. I didn't know they were hiring. That'd be cool. All right, let's see here. Elon Musk Twitter unlikely to reach quick settlement in purchasing dispute. Let's see. Chrissy Clark. MAGA is a form of covert racism. What? According to a Maine Department of Education module. Wow. So what does that make me? I consider myself MAGA. I believe in putting America first. So what does that make me? Let's see. Check it out. Judge Joe Brown tells it like it is. Okay. I might check that out. All right, Judge Joe Brown. Having a child so expensive. Rihanna going back to work. Let's see. What's this here? Biden stuns crowd into utter bewilderment after saying most creepy thing ever. Yeah, I covered that yesterday, I believe. When he said that when she was 12, he was 30. 1.8 tons of cocaine seized, 5 arrested in Nigerian bus. Let's see what else we got going on here. Let's see. Wow, look at that. It's a beautiful picture. Let's see. My Cowboys play tonight. I'm definitely going to be watching that game. Let's see. Biden, everyone under... Hold... Jeez Louise. Like, has no one told this guy, hey, you need to chill with this stuff? They already think you this type of way. Why keep feeding him? Why keep feeding him? But he can't help himself. It shows he can't help himself.
Everybody under 15, come here. Come on. What's your name?
Who is that clapping? Everybody under 15, come here. Someone's clapping. Why are you clapping? Do you not get it? Do you not understand what's going on here? Jeez Louise.
Well, come on, you guys get it. Oh, y'all look over here. Come on, honey. I got a daughter who teams all states. Come on.
Don't do it. Look. Come here, honey. Come here, honey. Don't do it. Who let their kids around this man? Who lets their child around this dude? You have to know. Everyone knows about Ashley Biden's diary by now. They have to know about this dude. Everyone talk about the creepy stuff he do. It's all everywhere. Why would you allow your child around this man?
All right. Come on over here. Come on, baby.
Don't do it, kid. Don't do it, kid. Carpet Sky said the people watching that and clapping are truly sick. Same Marxists who want to control the population. I agree. It's it's sickening. It's sickening.
Well, thanks, guys. Thank you very much.
I'm gonna have to quote tweet this. He just can't help himself. Again, follow me on Twitter if you don't follow me yet. I'm pretty active on Twitter now. Very, very active on Instagram. My Instagram, I tons of news. A lot of this stuff that I'm reading now, or the stuff that I'll read throughout the night, I'll post on Instagram, and I'll give you a little summary. It'll be a little quick read of the news article and where you can find it and stuff. It's very, very. I'm making it like I'm trying to be the what Drudge Report used to be. I'm trying to be the Instagram of that. I'm trying to be the Instagram of the old Drudge Report. So check that out. I put a lot of news out there throughout the day, a lot of articles, a lot of good information. Let's see. Colonize the hell out of someone's reservation. Sit where you want. I literally sit at other people's tables sometime. I'll colonize the hell out of someone's reservation. That's pretty funny. Let's see. Anyone liked by Ted Cruz has got to be a fascist puppet, and the WEF. Let's see what we got going on here. So protesters are now out from barricades taking over the streets in Haiti. Haiti is wild. And the Clinton Foundation, who is now back in office, is is now back in office, took so much money from Haiti is ridiculous. Copper Sky said, break up the family, etc. And yeah, that's what this whole Marxist thing is about. I don't know if you tuned in earlier, Copper Skies, but I talked about how now communists want to get rid of the kitchen. It's really, really crazy, really, really odd. I talked about it earlier, how they want to get rid of the kitchen. And that's not a joke. It's not a joke. And they're arguing. It's argument between the communists. There is infighting within the communists on do they want to destroy the kitchen or do they want to destroy the restaurant. It's a crazy, wild thing that's going on. Hotep Jesus said Instagram was a bad idea. Yeah, these Instagram models and in their ilk is just terrible. It's terrible. But Instagram, I think, is not as bad as TikTok. TikTok, I think, is the worst. Wow, I missed that. Yes, I will check it out. Yeah, definitely check it out. Definitely check it out. It's crazy. Communists literally want to get rid of your kitchen. First, they want to destroy the family. Now they want to destroy your kitchen. It's the craziest thing. Never seen anything like it. Let's see. Cannon Hotep. Mark Meadows. What he knew about that day in January 6th? What? Let's see. Grifties. Let's see what else we got going on here. Alright. Let's see. I think that's it for Twitter. Let me make sure I no new headlines since I first started. Let's make sure we're not missing any important news. Let's see, synthetic salvation on genomics, mind uploads, and the quest for immortality. That's transhumanism. I remember when I first heard that term. I think it might have been 2012 when I first heard about transhumanism, and I was fascinated by how these elites want to put their consciousness inside of a brain, inside of a computer, so they can like live forever. It's crazy. Let's see, $400 billion. We talked about that. Joe Biden, inflation is, do you have less money from your paycheck? What? Let's see what he's trying to say here. This is from Gateway Pundit. We're doomed. Joe Biden on Monday delivered remarks at a meeting with the White House Competition Council in the state dining room. Biden meeting focused on new actions his administration will be taking to save families money and lower costs. Try not to laugh. Joe Biden made many false claims during his remarks. Let's see if they got the video here. Just gotta wait on my slow computer to load. Got Boomer Tech here. All right, let's see.
Because what's inflation? Inflation is at the end of the month, do you have less money from your paycheck or more money from your paycheck? I mean, in a way that people, that's how it's calculated by the vast majority of American people.
Well, I mean, he's not really wrong. He's not really wrong. I'm not gonna lie. He's not wrong with that. But is he admitting it or what? I don't understand what he was making, what point he was making with that comment. But they said Biden spent another $740 billion on his Green New Deal that he repackaged the Inflation Reduction Act, which we of course know does not reduce any inflation whatsoever. The Democrats actually claimed spending billions of dollars after inflation already past 8% would help bring costs down. Excuse me. Dummy Joe Biden couldn't even define inflation on Monday. Oh, that was the point they were making. He couldn't really define it. Man. Breathing that pollution air probably got me coughing. I gotta tell you, ever since I moved to Houston, I've never received a pollution air quality warning from my Alexa until I moved to to Houston. It's crazy. Not really good for someone with allergies like myself. All right, let's see. Elon Musk, Twitter unlikely to reach quick settlement. We talked about that. Job sites ban gender critical feminists. List nearly 300 jobs matching transgender. Wisconsin Assembly Speaker decries January 6th subpoena as clearly political. Wow, now I got the hiccups. Pfizer asks FDA for authorization of new booster for children, ages 5 to 11. Children do not need it, really. I don't think anyone needs it, especially children. Let's see. What do we got here? We went over that already. Understaffed New Orleans PD hiring civilians and organizing patrol shifts. Uh-oh. Wow. This is what happens when you defund the police. China doubled down on fossil fuel usage despite its commitment to global elite. That was my point. They want to construct us when it comes to fossil fuels. They don't want us to use gas and coal and all this other stuff. But none of the big countries are doing it. China's not doing it. India's not doing it. So it wouldn't have effect on anything. Let's see. All right. China brings home 162 nuclear scientists. An attempt Keith Olbermann dunk on former Flame Kristen Sinema does not go as planned. I did not know Keith Olbermann was hooked up with Kristen Sinema. Interesting. Gavin Newsom insists he's not going to run for president. Says recall effort was a sobering moment. Yeah, people in your own state don't want you. How you gonna run for president? But you still can't trust what he says anyway. Criminalizing opposition. Glenn Greenwald, I covered that earlier. New midterm poll spells bad news for Democrats on the economy. I covered that earlier. Let's see. Superstar rapper hospitalized again week after falling through a hole. Postponed show. Elon Musk agrees with Furious. I went over that earlier with Jeremy Siegel. Let's see. Did Jesus really tell his disciples to take up swords? Yes, he did. It's in the Bible. He literally said it. It's in. You can read the red letter Bible where they the red letters are with the words that Jesus said, and he actually said that. I'm not even going to click on that. I don't care what I don't. They might be agreeing with me. I don't know. I'm not going to click on that because I know that's exactly what the Bible said. Let's see. You must testify under oath. Howley demands answers. Rips Merrick Garland for targeting pro-life activists. Let's see this. Okay, let's see. Senator Josh Hawley is demanding answers from President Joe Biden's Attorney General Merrick Garland over the arrest of pro-life activist and Catholic father of 7, Mark Hawk, or however you pronounce it. According to his family, some 20 armed FBI agents and 15 vehicles raided the residence, who leads a nonprofit group that provides sidewalk counseling at abortion clinics in Pennsylvania over an incident last year involving the then 12-year-old son. I covered all that. He was protesting a guy on the sidewalk where he could protest, and a guy walked up to him and started yelling at his son. He pushed the guy to the ground, defending his son, and then a year later, you got FBI agents coming to your house. It's crazy. It says, quote, if the shocking reports about the FBI arresting a man Friday in rural Pennsylvania are true, then you have a lot to answer for, Hawley said in a letter to Garland. Quote, these reports state that federal authorities obtained a warrant under the Freedom of Access to Clinic Entrance FACE Act to arrest Mark Hout for allegedly committing a single count of simple assault, that's a misdemeanor, by pushing a man near an abortion clinic. He continued. Houch contends that he only did so to defend his child against the man, and local authorities have already dismissed a separate criminal complaint against Houch for the conduct. And I would have did the same thing. I probably would have punched him in the face, but that's me. But I'm gonna do whatever it takes to defend my family. So I don't blame this guy for that. Quote, not only did your office turn a local dispute into a national case, but the FBI reportedly executed the search warrant in as extreme a manner as one can imagine, the Republican asserted. As Hout's wife said, when they saw 20 or more agents arrest their father at gunpoint, the kids were all just screaming, Hawley said. To say the least, using this kind of force to make an arrest for a single charge of simple assault is unprecedented. Hawley positioned the arrest against the DOJ seemingly sleeping on the dozens of attacks against pro-life agency centers and churches by abortion extremists following the overturning of Roe v. Wade. And that's a great point. Instead, they didn't check none of the churches being bombed or being attacked, or none of the pro-life places being attacked. You going after someone that pushed the guy to the ground when defending his son. It makes no sense. Quote, I want to know from Merrick Garland directly why Biden DOJ is arresting Catholic protesters like terrorists, complete with SWAT-style tactics, while letting actual terrorists act like firebombings go unpunished. Great question. The corruption and abuse of law is out of control, Hawley stated. Come January, the new Republican Congress must launch a thorough public investigation of the DOJ and FBI, from their targeting of parents to religious protesters to political opponents. I agree. Well, we'll see what happens with this. First, we have to take the House. All right, let's see. Biden's position on abortion is so extreme, the White House won't even say it out loud. They're alluding to when they asked Jean Pierre about when is acceptable not to get an abortion or something to that effect, and they would not mention it. They would not talk about it. That's because the left believes that you can have an abortion even after the child is born, which is crazy. Let's see. What else we got going on? FBI raids pro-life home. Let's see if there's any cool videos really quick. How much time? Yeah, I'm gonna go another 6 minutes. Let's see if there's any videos on that's worth taking a gander. I'm looking for, where is it? Here we go, Grambian. Let's just go to Grambian. let's check this one out.
Welcome back. Kevin McCarthy. A lot of people are very upset about this Department of Justice. They went after parents, as you mentioned earlier. They've gone after Republican state legislatures when they disagree with them. They refuse to enforce a federal felony statute to protect Supreme Court justices. They refuse to enforce the immigration laws to protect the southern border. And yet they seem to be looking to go after Donald Trump, Ron DeSantis, Republican members of Congress, Republican state legislators.
They're going after Republicans in general. If you do not agree with their ideology, they are coming for you.
I think we have a Department of Justice that's absolutely gone rogue. What do you think?
I agree with you. We need to rein in government's abuse of power. You've got a Department of Justice that called parents terrorists because they went to a school board meeting. We found out later they did it based upon a letter from an organization that rescinded the letter, but they still went after them.
That's a great point there. I did not know that they rescinded the letter. They actually rescinded the letter, and they still went after them.
We've watched these abuses. We have sent more than 500 preservation letters, so we have the information now. There needs to be a check and balance. While the Democrats control all, they have been no oversight of any agency. That's a role of Congress. Congress should do that regardless who is in power. We don't know why the decisions were made in Afghanistan not listening to the military. Shouldn't we know that so that never happens again? Shouldn't you know where COVID originated from? This picking and choosing and using the power of government to go after Americans simply because they have a different political view is going to stop.
I hope it does stop. That's why we got to get these guys out of office.
To provide accountability, regardless, wherever it is, regardless of party. And what we're doing is sending those letters out. We will have that information. We will start on day one repealing 87,000 IRS agents. We will pass and then make energy independent in America. So we're not reliant upon other countries, but America's gas prices will be lower. We will be stronger. We'll come back and pass a parent's Bill of Rights. So you have a say in your kids' education, not government controlling you. We will make sure we rein in our wasteful spending. Why? It will lower inflation. It will give us a stronger future and a stronger economy. We'll make sure your streets are safe. We won't defund the police. We'll provide more officers, and we will hold these prosecutors and district attorneys accountable to uphold the law. We will secure our borders so your kids won't have to fear wondering that they're buying fentanyl and are going to OD. We will make sure that government is accountable at the same time.
I gotta say,
Yeah.
it sounds good. I would agree to it, but I don't know if they're actually. I mean, I don't. It's so many established Republicans in there, so many rhinos in there. I don't. If the people we bring in, will it be enough to make an actual difference? Is the question. Copper Sky says, if I recall correctly, the reason they rescinded the letter was because they were caught taking cues from the administration on what to actually put in the letter in the first place. Unbelievable. Wow. That I think you might be right. I think I vaguely remember something to that effect. That's ridiculous that they actually work, and we know how the left work hand in hand with the unions. So I would actually believe that. We already know how the administration was working with Facebook, how they was working with Twitter. You know, they work hand in hand. So I can see them also working with the teachers union as well. They're doing everything they can to attack normal conservative ideology is what they're coming after. Let's see. What we got here? This MSNBC.
Well, Brad, you were preaching. You made so many good points. But you just heard that prediction, Fernand. I mean, you're the resident pollster here. Is his optimism warranted? You know, do you see people turning out in Georgia and delivering a victory to...
I don't believe it. This is more gaslighting or hopeful or wishful thinking. Maybe, maybe they do believe in this crap, but I don't see any indication. The only one way that they can win is by stealing something, and I'm not gonna get into that because you know how they are here with the overlords. Maybe I'll get into it on my Patreon on the many ways of how they can make that happen. But I think that's the only way, because I think Republicans are stoked. I think they're mad. I think they're upset about what's going on, and I think they're going to turn out in the polls.
To Abrams and Warnock, you got Val Demings in your neck of the woods, in Florida, Sherry Beasley in North Carolina. It's all throughout the country. And considering that most of these communities will have to leapfrog over rampant voter suppression to do that, your thoughts?
Here they go with the fake voter suppression lie again. It's been study after study after study that show there is no voter suppression. I think it was Harvard that did a study on this, and they even concluded there is no voter suppression. They just make this stuff up. And when you ask them, okay, what's the voter suppression? They'd be like, oh, it's just voter suppression. Okay, explain to me, what is the voter suppression? Well, there's just voter suppression. They never really go explain what that entails either.
Thoughts?
Well, I think that's exactly right. Number one, we have to be mindful of that the Republicans are now all in a committed effort to make voting as difficult as possible, especially if you are someone from a person of color community. So that has to be taken.
This is fake. This is not real. They live in a bizarro world. No one has a problem. Everyone has an ID. That's all you need to vote. Register to vote, have an ID. Everyone has an ID. There is no voter suppression. This is a fallacy. You trying to make it like people of color can't figure out how to get an ID.
Always in the mindset. But I think, Tiffany, yes, I think we're going to see record midterm turnout. I think it's going to be the equal, if not better, than what we saw in 2018, which is the highest midterm turnout in the last 75 years. I think we're going to see it again. And I think if we're able to capture and hold on to the Senate and maybe even hold on to the House, it's going to be because Black voters, Hispanic voters, Asian voters, all of those voters across the spectrum of this rising majority turned out. Because
all those people are disenfranchised. You can talk to any of them. Just talk about how much things cost. That's all. And if you like paying high prices for gas, if you like paying high prices for groceries, I implore you, vote Democrat. But if you want to change, you're going to definitely have to vote Republican. And most people know this.
The truth of the matter is, Tiffany, if they don't take the opportunity to vote in this election, they may not have an opportunity to vote again.
Fear-mongering. So now if they don't vote here, they're not going to be able to vote again. What does that mean?
In a free and fair election. Those really are the stakes. I don't think any of us can.
So what do you mean by that? See, they're already setting you up. They're already setting you up for 2024. And I guarantee when the Republicans take over in 2024, they're going to be able to talk about the rigging and all that stuff. That's what they're going to be talking about. This is going to be the last time you'll be able to vote if you don't vote now. Didn't they say that? This is crazy.
And stress enough. If the Republicans capture either houses of Congress, they are committed to undoing democracy. They are committed to.
We're not a democracy in the first place.
To overturning whatever electoral result, quote unquote, doesn't go their way. In 2024, you even have people like Marco Rubio right now saying they won't necessarily commit to accepting the results of the 2022 elections. This is what's at stake, and this is why I think we have to focus on this issue and how these communities, according to the polls that show they're very engaged, they're very enthused, and they plan on voting in historic numbers, mostly for Democrats, can play that difference-making role, Tiffany.
All right.
Kyle, I want to get to...
No one believes that. That's a fallacy. They're just making that stuff up, hoping that people will actually will turn out and vote. But that's all I'm gonna cover today. I went a strong 2 hours and some today. It was pretty good. I'm gonna try to be going live from time to time. I'm gonna try to at least go live at least 3 times a week, maybe more. We'll see how it goes with my new schedule that I'm gonna be doing soon. So but let me know what you think about all this. Leave your comments down below. Like, share, and subscribe. And check out my socials there. Link in the description. Until next time, peace.